So 2 weeks later, after we have initially imported our test records, we have received another data source. It essentially contains an updated information about those contacts that we recently imported to Goldmine using DBX. And so we intend to import those new records to update Goldmine. So let's quickly revisit what our data looks like in Goldmine. So at the moment, to simulate changes into the database, I simply added the number 1 at the end of each of the contact fields. Also, for this particular record for Bob Briscoe, I edited the email address and the website to contain the _old text to indicate that it has been changed. So when we are done with our import using DBX, our expectation is that these number 1s will disappear. The email address will also get updated, and that no new records should be created. Since we are importing the same set of contacts, it's just that we are importing it twice, updating a similar set of records. So let's switch back to DBX. And so in DBX, we can simply open an existing process by either double clicking on it or selecting it and clicking on open process. So what we need to do really is to have a way to tell DBX how to define or how to find matching records that are in our data source and that are also in the Goldmine database. So let's take a look on how we can achieve that. So let's go to our import contact data, and we have here a record matching tab, and this is the area where we need to specify our data match criteria. So let's create a new match criteria. So notice that we have to define 2 expressions. One is from the data source and the other one is from Goldmine. So let's create our match expression for our data source. We can at the moment simply consider that the company field is the unique identifier for our records. So let's select company and we click OK. And the same is true will be for our Goldmine record match expression. So we find contact1.company and we click OK. So what happens is that it should actually find a record in this data source and in Goldmine that have the same value, and it will consider them as duplicate records. So we also need to define our match priority. In our case, we select 1. So now we're ready to click on save. And so let's import our records. It's done. So let's switch back to Goldmine and let's see what our records look like. So I'm going to refresh these records. So notice that the number 1, after the contact fields are gone, the email address for Bob Briscoe also doesn't have the _old anymore. So this looks like our import process worked perfectly.